All right, so today we're going to do a deep dive into some pretty unconventional territory. We're going to take a look at the scientific ideas of Terrence Howard. Yep, the actor.
Oh, wow.
It might seem a little out there, but sometimes the most unexpected places hold fascinating insights. So our source material for this is an interview he did on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast. Now, before you dismiss it, let me tell you, this isn't your typical celebrity interview. Howard goes deep into his theories on physics and chemistry, challenging some of the most fundamental principles that we kind of take for granted. So he's got this unique perspective on the periodic table that really shakes up traditional chemistry. And he even rejects some of the cornerstones of physics, like gravity. Plus, he claims to have made some, incredible inventions, things like a new form of flight and a lightning gun. Sounds pretty wild, right?
Yeah, definitely intriguing.
So the big question is, can an actor truly revolutionize science? Well, let's dive in and see what we can learn from Howard's thought process, even if some of his ideas might seem a bit far-fetched.
Well, it's worth noting that Howard's interest in science goes way back, even before his acting career took off. He was actually a chemical engineering student, but he ended up leaving school because he had fundamental disagreements with his professor about the nature of elements. So it seems like this early challenge to authority really set the stage for his later, more radical ideas.
Yeah, that's really interesting. It seems like that experience might have solidified his willingness to question those, established ideas. One of the things that really fascinated him was the work of Walter Russell, particularly Russell's alternative periodic table. So instead of the typical boxy table we're all used to, Russell envisioned the elements arranged in this spiral. And this visual representation alone, it's pretty striking. It really makes you think about how different ways of visualizing things can really change our understanding.
Absolutely. And to grasp why Howard was so drawn to Russell's ideas, we need to understand the core concept behind this spiral periodic table. Russell believed that elements exist not as separate, distinct entities, but rather on a spectrum, with smooth transitions between them. This idea of a fluid and interconnected universe is really key to understanding a lot of Howard's claims later on, especially when he talks about manipulating these transitions between elements.
Fascinating. So let's get into some of those more controversial claims, particularly his rejection of gravity as we understand it. He uses this analogy of the Earth's equator being wider due to centrifugal forces. To challenge our basic understanding of how gravity works, it's a pretty bold statement. It makes you rethink what you thought you knew.
Right, and it's important to be clear here. Howard isn't necessarily saying that gravity doesn't exist. What he's proposing is that it might not be a fundamental force itself, but rather an effect of other forces at play. It's a subtle but important distinction. It highlights just how complex scientific theories can be, and how much we still have to learn about the universe.
Yeah, it's definitely a mind-bending idea to consider that something as fundamental as gravity might not be fully understood. And Howard, he goes even further by introducing a concept he calls wave conjugations. He believes these are the foundation of his alternative physics model. And he even uses these complex geometric shapes called linchpins to represent the building blocks of matter in his model.
This is where Howard taps into the idea of fractals. Those repeating patterns that occur from the microscopic level all the way up to the cosmic scale. It's a fascinating concept that aligns with the long sought-after goal of finding a unified field theory in physics, a single framework that can explain all forces in the universe.
Right, so to support this idea, he brings in his programmer, Chris. And Chris describes building a computer simulation based on these linchpins. And get this. The simulation was able to accurately recreate the structure of Saturn, including its rings, without even using the concept of gravity.
Wow.
That detail really stood out to me. It makes you wonder if maybe there's something to Howard's ideas, even if they seem far-fetched.
It's certainly a compelling detail, but we have to remember that while computer simulations are incredibly useful tools, they don't necessarily prove a theory definitively. What's really interesting here is that even if Howard's model isn't entirely accurate, it could still offer valuable new perspectives on existing scientific problems. It's a good reminder that challenging conventional thinking can sometimes lead to unexpected breakthroughs.
Right, so are you ready for even more mind-blowing stuff?
Sure, bring it on.
Howard also claims to have made some incredible inventions based on his theories. He talks about something called tangential flight, which would allow aircraft to spin around their center of mass, achieving a level of maneuverability that's unheard of today. Then there's the lightning gun, which he says uses water as fuel, converting it into plasma. And perhaps most incredibly, he describes a method to reverse radioactive decay. Now, these are some pretty bold claims.
Yeah. If we connect these inventions back to his overall theories, you can see how he's trying to apply his understanding of energy and matter manipulation to real-world applications. Of course, we have to acknowledge that none of these claims have been independently verified, so whether these inventions actually work as he describes remains a big question mark.
Right. And just when you thought it couldn't get any more intriguing, Howard brings it back to a much bigger question about our place in the universe. He believes that intelligent life exists throughout the cosmos and that they've already mastered these principles he's talking about. This immediately brings to mind the Fermi paradox and the ongoing debate about whether we're alone in the universe. It's a topic that always sparks my imagination.
Yeah, and what I find particularly thought-provoking is Howard's suggestion that human advancement might have been influenced by external forces. He hints at connections to ancient astronaut theories, and even points to the unexplained leap in human brain size as potential evidence. It's a fascinating idea that taps into our deep-seated curiosity about our origins and whether we're truly alone in this vast universe.
It definitely makes you think about the possibilities, doesn't it?
It does.
So we've covered a lot of ground already, from alternative periodic tables to gravity-defying inventions and even the possibility of extraterrestrial influence. And we're just getting started. Stay with us as we delve deeper into the fascinating and often perplexing world of Terrence Howard's scientific ideas.
It really is a reminder that sometimes we limit ourselves by only looking for answers within, the framework of what we already know. But what if the answers actually lie beyond those boundaries? Howard's theories, even if unconventional, they encourage us to really explore those possibilities.
That's what I find so captivating about this whole deep dive,
Yeah.
He's pushing us to expand our thinking and consider ideas that might seem, a little out there at first glance. It reminds me that, progress in science often comes from questioning the status quo and daring to imagine new possibilities. One thing that really struck me was how Howard talked about trying to engage with established scientists like Neil deGrasse Tyson. He sent Tyson a paper outlining his ideas, even focusing on something as seemingly simple as the equation, 1 × 1 = 2. Howard argues that traditional multiplication, it doesn't account for the inherent potential for increase, that there's a missing element in the equation.
Yeah, it's a great example of how Howard approaches even well-established mathematical concept from a completely different angle. He's essentially questioning the very foundation of multiplication, arguing that it doesn't fully capture the dynamic, ever-expanding nature of the universe as he sees it.
Right. And according to Howard, Tyson wasn't exactly receptive to his ideas. He even claims that Tyson just dismissed his work and refused further discussion. It's a little, disheartening to hear that a prominent figure in science wouldn't be open to even exploring these unconventional concepts.
Yeah, it does make you wonder about the level of openness within the scientific community to truly radical ideas. It's a reminder that even brilliant minds can sometimes be resistant to, challenges to the established way of thinking.
Right. Despite this setback, Howard kept developing his theories. He wrote a book based on his ideas and reached out to other scientists like Dr. David Tong from Cambridge University. He mentioned how Tong, during a lecture, boldly stated that much of what we're taught in physics is a lie, acknowledging the limitations of our current understanding.
Yeah, that statement clearly resonated with Howard. He sees a parallel between Tong's acknowledgement of flaws in our current models and his own attempts to expose those flaws and offer alternative explanations. It's almost as if he found validation for his unconventional views, in the words of, a respected physicist.
And he didn't stop there. He delved into the history of science, bringing up figures like Giordano Bruno, who was persecuted for his beliefs in an infinite universe and a decentralized view of God. Howard suggests that even in Bruno's, groundbreaking work, he might have included straight lines in his depictions of the cosmos to appease the church and avoid further persecution.
That's a fascinating point. It highlights how even revolutionary thinkers can be constrained by the, the prevailing beliefs of their time. It makes you wonder how many groundbreaking ideas throughout history might have been suppressed or watered down for fear of reprisal.
Yeah, it's a sobering thought, isn't it? But let's bring it back to Howard's core ideas. He challenges the widely accepted concept of the Big Bang. He suggests that if we factor in the observed drift of planets away from their stars, the universe would have to be far older than currently estimated. He even did the math, calculating the time it would take for Earth to reach its current distance from the sun based on its rate of drift.
This is a great example of how Howard uses his knowledge of astronomy and physics
Yeah.
to support his unconventional views. He's taking established observations and applying them to his model, forcing us to, reconsider the accepted timeline of the universe's evolution.
Right. And this ties into his belief that the sun is actually the origin of planets, that it gives birth to them through a process of ejection and gradual coalescence. He even compares it to human bodily functions to illustrate his point. It's a visceral and unexpected analogy that makes you think about cosmic processes in a whole new way.
What's interesting here is that Howard is proposing a model of continuous creation rather than, a single event like the Big Bang. It's a dynamic, evolving universe that's constantly generating new celestial bodies.
And he also takes aim at the concept of black holes, arguing that they don't actually exist. Instead, he proposes that what we perceive as black holes are actually massive vortices of energy. He points out that the whole concept of black holes relies on the idea of gravity as this all-powerful force that can trap even light, a concept he fundamentally rejects.
Yeah, this is a bold claim, considering the widespread acceptance of black holes in the scientific community. However, Howard's alternative explanation, rooted in his understanding of energy dynamics, forces us to at least consider the possibility that there might be phenomena out there that we still don't fully comprehend.
And speaking of energy, let's talk about the concept of zero. Howard argues that zero as a concept doesn't actually exist in nature. He suggests it's a human construct, perhaps originating from, the concept of currency.
That's an interesting idea. It's particularly thought-provoking because it challenges our basic understanding of numbers and their relationship to the natural world. It raises the question, do our mathematical systems truly reflect the reality of the universe, or are they limited by, our human perspective?
Yeah, it's a question worth pondering for sure. And Howard's critique extends to the way we do math in general. He emphasizes that our current mathematical models are based on this two-dimensional linear framework, while he believes the universe actually operates in a multi-dimensional curved reality. He suggests that this fundamental mismatch is a major reason why we encounter so many paradoxes and uncertainties in our attempts to understand the cosmos.
This is a crucial point. Howard is essentially arguing that we need a new mathematical language, one that takes into account the curvature and interconnectedness of reality to unlock the true secrets of the universe.
And he believes he's found that language. In his concept of wave conjugations and the geometric shapes he's created, he even claims to have developed a new form of multiplication based on these principles, a volumetric multiplication that he believes more accurately reflects the way the universe expands and creates.
Right. So to put it simply, Howard is suggesting that our current methods of multiplication, which are based on adding quantities together, are too simplistic. He's proposing a method that accounts for the expansion and interaction of energy fields, which he believes is a more accurate representation of how creation actually occurs in the universe.
And he's not just theorizing about this. He claims to have actually built working devices based on these principles. Remember that lightning gun we mentioned earlier? Well, he claims to have a patent for a device that uses water as fuel, converting it into plasma through a process involving wave conjugations and precise angles of incidence.
Wow. Now, if this claim is true, it would be a game changer. The ability to generate clean, powerful energy from water would have profound implications for our planet and our future. Of course, as with all of Howard's claims, independent verification is absolutely crucial.
He also talked about creating a new form of flight, tangential flight, which he claims allows an aircraft to spin around its own center of mass. This would allow for a level of maneuverability, beyond anything we can achieve today. He even showed Joe Rogan a video of small, drone-like devices demonstrating this type of movement.
Right. Again, this claim challenges our current understanding of aerodynamics. If such technology actually exists, it would revolutionize air travel and could potentially open up incredible new possibilities for space exploration.
And as if that wasn't enough, Howard also mentioned developing a technology that can reverse radioactive decay. He claims to have figured out how to manipulate pressure and motion conditions using his wave conjugations to actually accelerate the decay process, potentially solving one of the biggest problems in nuclear waste management.
If substantiated, this would be a monumental breakthrough. The ability to safely and efficiently neutralize radioactive waste would have a massive positive impact on the environment and global energy production.
He also highlighted the potential applications of his linchpin technology, claiming to have developed submersible devices that can locate and retrieve resources like gold from the ocean floor
This claim really gets into the potential economic and geopolitical ramifications of Howard's inventions. Imagine being able to access vast underwater resources, potentially disrupting existing power structures, and creating new economic opportunities.
All these claims taken together paint a picture of a man who genuinely believes he's unlocked like a deeper understanding of the universe and how it operates. He's not just talking about theoretical concepts. He claims to have built working technologies that demonstrate the power of his ideas. But of course, this all leads to the biggest question of all. Is he right? Has Terrence Howard really cracked the code of the universe?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Howard's claims are certainly extraordinary, and his passion's undeniable, but it's important to approach these ideas with a healthy dose of skepticism. Extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's where the real challenge lies for Howard. He's up against this, deeply entrenched scientific establishment, trying to convince the world that an actor has, revolutionized physics. It's a pretty tough sell. He's talked about encountering resistance from universities, even being denied the opportunity to, fully present his ideas at Oxford. It seems like, many dismiss him simply because of his background as an actor, assuming he lacks the scientific credentials to make such bold claims.
Yeah, and that kind of bias against those outside the traditional scientific community is a real concern. It can stifle innovation and prevent, potentially groundbreaking ideas from even being explored. Science should be about open inquiry, regardless of where those inquiries come from.
Absolutely. And it's not just the scientific community. Howard claims that media outlets have also misrepresented his work, focusing on the sensational aspects, rather than actually engaging with the substance of his theories.
Yeah, it is unfortunate that media coverage can sometimes prioritize entertainment value over accurate reporting, especially when dealing with, complex scientific topics. That kind of sensationalism creates a barrier to public understanding and can really contribute to the dismissal of potentially valuable ideas.
It's a frustrating situation for sure. But despite the challenges, Howard remains determined to share his work with the world. He even founded a company called the Center for Truth, Love, and Consciousness to promote his ideas and control how his patented technologies are used.
That really shows his commitment to not only advancing scientific knowledge, but also ensuring that his inventions are used ethically for the benefit of humanity. It's a good reminder that scientific progress should always be guided by ethical considerations.
His passion for this work is contagious, He genuinely believes that his discoveries have the potential to solve some of humanity's biggest problems, from climate change to energy scarcity.
Right. What's inspiring is his, unwavering optimism, even in the face of, skepticism and resistance. He believes that understanding these universal principles can lead to a more harmonious relationship with nature and a brighter future for all.
That brings us back to the heart of this deep dive. Terrence Howard, the actor, is challenging us to think differently, to question our assumptions about the universe and our place in it.
Yeah, his theories, whether ultimately proven or disproven, force us to confront the limits of our current understanding. They remind us that the pursuit of knowledge is an ongoing journey, full of surprises and challenges, and sometimes the most unexpected sources can spark the most profound insights.
So what does this all mean for you, dear listener? We've taken this whirlwind tour of Terrence Howard's unconventional scientific ideas, and I'm sure your mind is buzzing with questions and possibilities. Maybe you're skeptical, maybe you're intrigued, or maybe you're somewhere in between. But one thing's for sure. This deep dive has challenged us to think beyond conventional wisdom, to entertain the possibility that there's still so much we don't know about the universe and how it works.
And that in itself is a valuable takeaway. Howard's story reminds us to stay curious, to question assumptions, and to remain open to new perspectives, no matter how unconventional they may seem.
So as we wrap up this incredible deep dive, I'll leave you with a final thought. What if we're just scratching the surface of understanding the universe's true nature? What if, somewhere in the vast tapestry of cosmic possibilities, Terrence Howard, the actor turned scientific maverick, is onto something truly revolutionary? It's a question that might stay with you long after this episode, prompting you to explore, to question, and maybe even discover your own unconventional truths about the world around us.